Today, we're diving into a really powerful idea. What if the key to unlocking better performance, better safety, and just better compliance wasn't some brand new system, but actually a new language? We're going to take a look at how a simple shift in the way we talk about work can make all the difference, especially in high-stakes industries.
So let's just start with this question, because it really gets to the heart of everything we're talking about today. I mean, we spend so much time and money on new systems and software, right? But what if the real secret to unlocking your team's potential isn't in the tech at all, but it's in creating a shared, crystal-clear language for what good work actually looks like?
Because, let's be honest, a lot of organizations are grappling with these exact same issues. Job expectations can be kind of fuzzy. And yeah, training gives you qualifications, but that doesn't always translate to great performance on the job. And what's the result? Well, workers are left guessing, managers don't have clear evidence to go on, and the whole business just slowly loses capability and productivity.
And that brings us to this key insight. The problem, so often, isn't that people lack motivation or that the training is bad. The real point of failure is communication. When we don't have a shared language for what high performance looks and feels like, the whole system just starts to fall apart.
Think about the language we usually use at work. It's often academic, focused on units and qualifications, or it's administrative, just a list of tasks. Sometimes it's totally subjective. We might call someone a good worker, but what does that even mean? A performance-first language is totally different. It's based on things you can actually see, actions people take, and evidence you can capture.
So how do we make this shift? Well, the solution really lies in making 3 fundamental changes to our language. We're going to look at how these principles are applied in the MYSKILLSmanager system, which was actually developed hand-in-hand with leading trades organizations to solve these exact problems out in the real world.
Okay, shift number 1 is all about moving beyond just ticking a box. Task completed tells you absolutely nothing about how it was done. The new language, on the other hand, describes what success actually looks like. It's about demonstrating control, showing good judgment, and delivering quality work under real-world conditions.
Now, to make observable performance a real thing, you need a new kind of tool. And this is where something called a job code comes in. Think of it like a detailed blueprint. It takes a vague job title and turns it into a set of visible, measurable performance expectations. Suddenly, everyone can see exactly what good looks like for that specific role.
The second big shift, it's about getting rid of those fuzzy, abstract labels like good communication. What does that really mean in practice? Instead, we use what are called word pictures. These are concrete descriptions of behavior. So you're not just a good communicator, you actively listen to get information, and you convey information clearly. See? It becomes something you can actually see, coach, and practice.
And this third shift? Man, this one changes the entire conversation about skills. We move from asking only about qualifications to asking about capability. The question totally changes from, hey, what course did you take, to what can you actually do, consistently, under real-world pressure, and where's the evidence to prove it? This approach respects experience and focuses on what really matters.
All right, so that's the theory. Sounds good, right? But what does this actually look like when the rubber hits the road? Let's follow the journey of an apprentice in a skilled trade to see how these language shifts really play out in the real world.
So using a system of badges that are all tied to their job code, we can see the apprentice's progress as a clear, measurable journey. They don't just go from first year to second year. Instead, you can see them progress from grade 2, where they're mastering foundational skills, all the way up to grade 6, becoming a fully qualified tradesperson. And each stage is marked by a specific capability rating, that number you see, making their growth visible and totally tangible. So how do they progress? Well, it boils down to this really simple 3-step loop. First, the system kicks out what's called a learning catalyst. Think of it as a mini assignment from their JB code that tells them exactly which word pictures to focus on. Next, they just go about their day, applying those skills during their normal work. And finally, and this is the magic part, they'd capture evidence, a quick photo or a note, right from their phone on the worksite. For example, a learning catalyst for communication isn't some generic training course. It gets super specific. It assigns word pictures to practice, things like interpreting the needs of external customers or actively listening to get information to carry out tasks. This makes the learning immediately relevant to the job they're doing, like that very day.
And here's the proof in action. A worker's on site, they've just worked with their supervisor on a pretty complex sanitary system. They pull out their phone and just post a quick note. Applied communication skills while learning to work on residential sanitary systems with my supervisor. And just like that, bam, that real-world action is documented as evidence of capability. It's so simple, so direct, and so powerful.
So you can see how this works for one person. But what happens when you scale this process across an entire workforce? Let's take a look at the massive impact it has when performance becomes clear for absolutely everyone. For the workers themselves, the change is just profound. Expectations are no longer a mystery. They know exactly what they need to do to succeed. Their learning is directly tied to their job, and they can actually see their own progress, which, you can imagine, builds incredible confidence. The guesswork is just gone.
And for the supervisors, well, their role totally evolves from just managing tasks to actually coaching performance. With a shared, objective language, conversations become factual and constructive, not personal or defensive. They can spot and fix skill gaps early, before they become a real problem. Basically, they can stop managing ambiguity and start building real capability.
Now let's zoom out to the 30,000-foot view. For the entire organization, the benefits are strategic. Performance becomes something you can measure without a mountain of new bureaucracy. You can proactively see and manage capability risk across your whole workforce. And because of all that, productivity goes up, which helps the business meet those increasingly tough quality and compliance standards.
So when you boil it all down, it leads to these three critical outcomes. You get assured capability across your team, you get a huge reduction in operational risk, and you see a measurable increase in productivity. And these aren't just fuzzy goals. They are the direct results of a clear, shared performance language.
You know, ultimately, it all comes down to this. When every single person in an organization, from the newest apprentice to the most senior manager, sees performance in the exact same way, high performance is no longer an exception. It just becomes the default way of working.
And that really leaves us with one final question to think about. In a world that's only getting more complex, isn't it time we stop just trying to work harder with an old, ambiguous language, and maybe start learning smarter with a language that's actually designed for performance?